Yo, Nash, how are you? Are you awake? Please don't play this out loud if you are going to be listening to me. If you are around people, I would appreciate it if you can just put your earphones and listen. I'm sending you this because I need you to post this so that other people can know about my story. I know that you usually post stuff on your channel on YouTube. Most of the times I am here on Facebook. Please send me a link, but please, man, keep this one between us, the voice note, though. I'm not ready for people in South Africa to know that this South African girl, she had an abortion, that she was forced by her blesser, who was a ritualist. So you can read it after you would have understood my story, and then you can tell the story without even telling my name so as to keep me anonymous. Brother Nashim, I'm sending you this at 5 a.m. I can't fall asleep and I still want to be in bed. I have woken up since midnight. I have been thinking about my life. It is not moving at all. I am tired of trying to find a guy that can marry me. I used to be a hot woman, but now men, they just want to sleep with me without any commitment at all. I want a guy that is committed. So my alarm very soon, it is going to be ringing, screaming at me, and I'm supposed to wake up and then I have to prepare. I am staying here in Soweto, but there are days when I spend most of my time just staring at the ceiling, wishing the world will just stop for a second, and maybe if the whole world can collapse and we can all suffer the same way that I am suffering. I have my daughter. My daughter is getting big now, and I've been thinking that she needs school fees, she needs bread, she needs a life that I can't even afford to give her myself. I have to get up very soon. If I am late one more time, I'm working at PEP for real, and if I am late, my manager is going to have a full day with me. Can you imagine? I am someone that used to be hot. Men, they used to love me. I want other girls to know that you can be beautiful today, but you need a man that will be with you even if you are no longer considered to be a hot woman. And when you are 20, know that in 10 years' time, you are about 30. And when you are 30, you are going to be competing with women and girls that are around 18, 19, 20 at the same spot, where the same men who used to call you hot, they will be calling other women hot. I hate my life right now. I hate being at work. I don't like being at work at all. I don't like wearing a blue uniform, and I hate it when men look at my bums and say, this girl is so hot, yet there is no man that wants to be committed. I am 31 years old, still living with my mom, not married, and I do not even know who the father of my daughter is. And people, they think that I lie. There are those who think that I was impregnated maybe by someone that is very close, which will be so shocking if I expose that person. But honestly speaking, I do not even know who is the father of my daughter. And I am the breadwinner. My mom, she retired and she is sick. Since my mom got sick, everything is on me right now. And I look at my daughter, this daughter of mine. I had her as a teenager. I was only in grade 11 when I had this daughter of mine, and I feel this heavy guilt. I was just a kid when I was impregnated by a blesser. I was a kid when I had my daughter, but I was a kid who thought that she was a hot woman. I am about to get out of bed right now, and thinking about going to work, it makes me to feel so sad. But I want you to post this so that other women, they won't fall into the same trap of dating a man that will force you to have an abortion because he is a ritualist. And I've been thinking about how I got here and blessing and cursing myself because I thought that I had all the blessings because I had a beautiful body. I was very young when I started sleeping with guys from high school. I would even sleep with two guys from the same class at the same time. That is how naughty I was, knowing that you can sleep with two boys at the same time. I was not like other girls because right next door there was a shabin, and there were these old guys that would buy me something and then they'll say, "Can I just touch your breast?" So I knew that if I could let a man touch my breast, that man was going to give me money. Whilst other girls of my age were stressing about math literacy, I was stressing about which guy was going to pick me up in his car after school. And later on, when I knew money, I did not want the boys in my class because they were just kids, they had nothing. I wanted the guys, those that were employed, the guys with your entry level polos and leather jackets. I was working even back then, sleeping with different men. Nashi, I had three, maybe four guys on the line at the same time. One for airtime, one for my hair, one to take me to the mall. Mom saw it. She used to scream at me, telling me that a girl who chases money before she has a certificate is just a prostitute taking herself to her own grave. But I was a rude girl. I would roll my eyes and tell her that she was jealous because she did not even know my father as well. So maybe it is a generational curse. And I believed that I was too beautiful to be poor. Then grade 11 happened. I went to a tavern with some older guys. I was not supposed to be there. I got so drunk, I could not even see straight. When I woke up the next morning, I was at another girl's place, but there were used condoms everywhere. I do not even know who impregnated me to this day. I don't know which blessing impregnated me. I was sleeping around so much, doing hookups even for 20 rand. That was when the pregnancy test came back positive, and I did not even have a single number to call to ask for help. So my mom and everyone thought that the baby would stop me from being a loose woman, and I was going to become someone that knew what she wanted to do in life, but it did not. It made me to be more desperate. So, like when you are someone that is really beautiful, especially me, when a guy approaches me and asks for my number because they see these curves, they think that maybe I already have a guy that is wealthy that I am dating, even other women. When I tell them that sometimes things can get so bad that I can't even afford to buy sanitary pads. I have a friend of mine who will say, with these curves, your curves, you mean that you can't even afford to have a guy that can buy you all that you want, but having a beautiful body, it just makes you a target. Every guy just wants to hit on it and then walks away. From the moment that I hit puberty, men did not look at my face. They looked at my hips, they looked at my chest, and they wanted to taste me. And in them, I saw an ATM. There were guys, regular guys, that came, some of them that they had regular jobs that came to me that wanted me to become their wives, but I did not want that because I wanted to be with a guy that had more money. So I started to blame my own body for being a gold digger. I said, with the way that I'm so beautiful, what else am I supposed to do? Because I can't seem to date only one guy. When I am dating another guy, another one comes to me and cries and say, please just sleep with me. I'll give you money. So that is what I was doing. I figured it out that If every man I meet wants to use my body, then I might as well charge them for sleeping with me. I hated being poor so much. I still remember that when we were supposed to eat maybe pap and chicken feet at night, I would have a guy that I would tell to buy me a takeaway, to bring me a takeaway. I used to love Galitos Law, such a cheap restaurant now. And back in those days, it was still fresh. And any guy that I knew wanted me, I'll say, bring me a takeaway, buy me this and that. I want this menu at Galitos, then you can sleep with me tonight. And then that guy would bring and I would eat the food and sleep with that guy. This is what I used to do. I hated being so poor because it felt like a physical pain in my stomach when I would think about other women that were as beautiful as I was, saying probably maybe she is a white guy that has taken her to Dubai. Because what used to happen is that when I would go to a mall where usually white people hang around, I would see even your white men looking at me. They just wanted me. Some of them, maybe they were too shy to approach a black woman. So I wanted to become that. I felt as if I was suffocating in Soweto because of poverty. I wanted to become rich. By the time 2018 rolled around, I was 23 by then, and I was at my breaking point. I had enemies, at least that is what I called them, other girls from the neighborhood who were doing better than me, or girls that I had blocked on Facebook because they were working, some of them, and you saw that their life was coming together. Some of them, they had families already. I wanted them not to know that my life was messed up. And I wanted all of these enemies of mine one day to see me maybe in Dubai. I always pictured myself posting a picture of a passport with a boarding pass sticking out of it. I wanted a vacation outside of South Africa so badly I could even taste it. I could fantasize about it day and night. I did not care what I had to do or whom I had to sleep with. I just wanted a man that was going to make my dream to become reality. I was tired of the small time guys in the township who could give you 500 or 400 and think that they owned your soul. I wanted a big fish, but to have a guy from Sandton, it was proving to become difficult. I wanted a man who never counted his money, a man that would go into the shop with you and buy something without him even asking how much was the price. I really did not care what it was going to take, brother, but I did not know that I was throwing myself at the lions when I met a man called Jabu, a guy who stays in Sandton. He's a tenderpreneur. He looked like he was an answer of the prayer that I had sent to God, whom I had not even spoken to in a number of years. I'm leaving the house now. I have to catch a taxi. I'll send you another voice note. Just don't judge me too hard, okay? I am just trying to tell you everything that happened to me. Nashi, sorry it took so long to send this second one. I am hiding literally in the staff toilets where I am working, and please, I am begging you, do not put it on your channel. Don't use my voice like I told you. Just tell the story like you are just narrating the way that you narrate as if it is a movie. It was in late 2018, Nashim. I was at this all-white house party in Sandton with a guy that I was seeing at that time. This was an old blesser, much older than my dad, who thought that he was God's gift to women because he had a Mercedes-Benz Vito. He had that bus. We had been fighting the whole way when he came to pick me up in Soweto, going with me to Sandton. You know why? Because I had found two used condoms in the side pocket of his passenger door. When I asked him, what the hell is this? You know what he said to me? He did not even blink. He looked at me dead in the eye and said, what is your problem? You are not even my wife. Just sit down and keep quiet. I do not want sleeping drama. When he said this to me, I felt so small. I felt like I was just a sexual object to him that he had rented for the weekend. We went to the party, but I felt like trash. That was when I saw Jawu. He was there. He was with his friends, but it seemed as if he did not have a girlfriend. So he looked at me and I looked at him. We started to communicate and he came to where I was after my blesser had gone to the bathroom. My blesser and I, we were no longer that much into each other because I had told him that it's fine, he can find another girlfriend, and he said that he was going to show me that he can get 10 girlfriends at that party. So Jabu and I, we moved somewhere, we sat on a couch, we started talking, and he was polite. He told me that he did government tenders, mostly construction and logistics. And when he told me this, I won't lie. In my head, when I heard the word tenders, all that I saw were dollar signs. I said, finally, I have found a guy of my own age who is not this rude old man who can't even get an erection once. And then we talked. We had been talking for 30 minutes when he said to me, I really don't like the vibe here. There is too much noise. Let us go to my place. I asked him where his car was, and he just laughed. And I said, why are you laughing? And he said to me, no need for a car. I just live the next street. Brother Nashim, we literally walked from the party to his house. It was just a few minutes of walking, and I was walking for the first time on my feet through those quiet, and you could see these big houses everywhere, and it was so wonderful. I kept on thinking, wow, this guy is so rich living here. He was holding my hand, telling me how beautiful I was, saying that he had been watching me ever since I had walked at the party. I felt as if I was inside of a movie. I was already planning of thinking of taking pictures that I was going to put on Facebook, and I was thinking about the vacation out of the country, and I said, Jau is my ticket out of Soweto. But the moment that we walked into his house, he had a different vibe, Joe. You know that feeling that this guy, he is a psycho, because the house was too big and it really had no furniture to speak of. There was nothing. The house was just empty, and I expected him to take me to a master bedroom that was beautiful with a view of the city lights. Instead, he led me down this other long hallway, and then we went to this other room. I had never seen someone with a door that is painted black. When he opened the door, my heart dropped. He said that it was his bedroom, but the room was completely empty. There were blankets low that were on the floor and two pillows, no curtains, no furniture. It was even a rough concrete floor, no tiles, but it was warm. So he did not say much. He just said, let us make love. Brother Nashim, it was rough. I hated the floor. I felt so confused. I was someone that was soft, that had never made love on a rough concrete floor before. Even if I was poor, I remember thinking, why the hell are we here? There are more rooms in this house, probably with nice bed. I wanted to tell him that it was too weird. I wanted out. But then I remembered that as we were walking, he had told me and promised me that he was going to give me 30,000 rands that he had promised me while we were still at the party. I thought about the money that I was going to get out of him and the money that I could use to buy some groceries the next morning. So the problem as a slave queen is this: when you go out for a date with your blesser, usually you don't have any money. You are looking forward to be sleeping with him either in his car or at his place or at a hotel. Then he gives you money that you will use to get transport back home the next morning. So if I was going to say, no, stop it to Jabu, I don't enjoy making love in such a smelly room, then it meant that I had to return back to that party. I had to go back to that rude blesser. And I don't know if I was going to find him. So I kept quiet and I let him sleep with me on that hard, dirty floor in that room that was very smelly. It was not even sexy, Brother Nashi. It did not even feel like sex. It felt like he was just using me. When it was over, he just stood up and he acted as if there was nothing that had happened. He said that he was going to call me and he said, I like you and I want to stay with you. And he gave me the 3,000. I returned back to that party where I spent the entire time just sitting, not knowing what had really happened. Another guy then took me and I ended up going and sleeping with that guy, which meant I made more than 3,000 on that same night. When I went with that guy, he ended up giving me 2K and I stole some from him as well, and he drove me back to Soweto. And then Jahu told me that he wanted us to stay together. It was early 2019. I had been living with Jahu for a few months by then, and we would always sleep in that rough floor, the room that had the rough floor, and it was our bedroom, even though he had a big bedroom that was so nice, which I was only allowed to sleep in that room when I was alone, when Jabu was not around. I had the money he was giving to me as allowance each and every month, and on Facebook I would post pictures that made other women to be so jealous of me. They thought that I was living a very good life, but they did not know the things that were happening in secret because of what Jabu was doing to me. I really did not have any peace at all, to tell you the truth. Then I started to feel nauseous. At first, I thought that I had eaten a lot of seafood because I would eat seafood every time because I always liked it. So deep down, I started to suspect that I could have fallen pregnant for him. Then that was when I went to the pharmacy. When I went to the pharmacy, I bought a test. It was a preg test. And I still remember when I returned back home, I was so nervous. I was sitting on the edge of the bathtub. I was still at his house in Sandton. And then that was when those two pink lines appeared. I did not cry. I shouted and I smiled. I thought, this is it. This is my permanent residence. This is my security. This baby is going to make Jabu to love me. In my head, I was fantasizing. I actually saw a wedding. I saw that this was what was going to make my blesser to like me, and I was going to be the mother of a billionaire's child. I thought that he would look at me and he would see a wife in me. I waited for him in the lounge with a nice dinner. When he walked in, I told him, I said, Chabu, we are going to have a baby. Nashim, he just became quiet. He just became quiet. He did not hug me. I had to ask him why he was not holding me, why he was not hugging me. He did not smile. He just ate. He was talking about his business. He was avoiding what I had told him, that I had fallen pregnant. Then when we were going to that bedroom, so-called bedroom of us, then that was when he said, in 48 hours, you're supposed to get rid of that. I don't want to have kids right now. Overnight, Brother Nashim, the man that I thought was my Prince Charming, he vanished. He was no longer the decent guy who had done tenders, and he was someone that was promising me that he was going to start a company for me and we would be doing tenders together. He became like a monster, the devil himself. He did not speak to me unless he wanted to threaten me. He stopped giving me money. He would only give me money because he wanted me to buy something for the upkeep of the house. He told me that he did not want to have any kids. He said that I do not want to have kids. And then he became clear when he said that he does African rituals and he is not allowed to have kids. That is why I had met him without having kids. I thought that he was joking, Brother Nashi, but he was not joking at all, for this is what he did to me. 2 days later, he took my phone and he drove me in that same estate where he stays. I thought that maybe we were going to visit one of his friends. No, he said that we were going to remove the pregnancy. I cried when we were in the car. I was holding my stomach and I was like, please feel sorry for our baby that we have had together. Life is very precious. Please do not do this. I do not want us to remove this pregnancy. Just let me go. When I go, I will take care of my child by myself. And it was like, I do not want you to come back and say that you want me to pay you because we have a child together. And then we entered into this other house. He had told me that we were going to a clinic. I thought that there was a real clinic, but no, it was just a normal looking house. It was a beautiful house. And inside the dining room, I saw that there was this other doctor there. She was a woman, a Zimbabwean woman. So when I saw this woman, I thought that this woman, since she was also a woman, if I could cry to her, because I started to cry and I said that I did not want this pregnancy to be removed. And this doctor, I think that she works at the government, but this woman was a she-devil herself. She did not look at me. She was very rude. She told me to stop crying and to be strong. And I said, how can you say that I am supposed to be strong? This she said while she was preparing the table. She said that she did not want to hear me crying. She wanted to do her job and I was disturbing her. Brother, I don't know much about medical stuff, but I just suspected that this woman, she did not even use any proper medication, because when she gave me this injection, that she said that she was going to give me the injection that would make me numb, not to feel any pain, a muscle relaxer, she said. But I still felt pain when she was putting some things inside of my private parts. She started pulling out my baby. When they do an abortion, the things that they don't tell you is that these things, when they come out piece by piece. Whilst I was lying there bleeding and in the worst pain of my life, I saw him. She was even drinking a whiskey, talking to Jabu, and it seemed as if they had done these things over and over again. And those little pieces, they were put inside a plastic bag that they put waste, I think, in the hospitals. So he gave these things to another man that came whilst I was lying on another bed that she had told me to lie to rest. The nurse just handed me a pad and told me that after I would have rested, I was supposed to get up. Rather, I was taken by Jabu about 45 minutes later, because he had left me at that woman's house whilst I was resting. That night, when Jabu had taken me back to his penthouse, that was when I got a fever. I thought that I was about to have a flu. I was burning and I was shaking. This was the night that Jabu took me to another room and said, I want you to be warm, because I see that you are about to have a flu. But it was a terrible fever. When I started to dream, I saw my late grandmother, and my grandmother, she was standing in front of me, and then she said, follow me, and she was crying. When I followed her, we walked. Then I saw that we were in the middle of the forest. She looked at me and she continued crying, and she was like, my daughter, what have they done to you? And my grandmother, she was crying. One thing that she said that I still remember, she said, They have destroyed your glory. Look where you are. In the dream, she pointed around, and I looked at myself, and I saw that we were no longer in that forest. I was standing in a barren place, and it looked like hell. There was no tree, there was nothing. It looked so scary. And she said, Look. And I looked down at my chest. I was naked. I was sitting on a rock, which was very sharp. Nashim, I was breastfeeding, but it was not a baby. I was holding a snake that had the head of my boyfriend, Jabu. Jabu, the snake, was breastfeeding from me. And when I woke up, I was screaming, and I understood from that very day that Jabu was someone that was for real when he told me that he was a ritualist. So it happened, it was on a Tuesday. It was just a normal, boring Tuesday, the day when he locked me out. After I had recovered, we stayed for another month together, and it was okay. Jabu and I, we were no longer the same. He would avoid sleeping with me. Even though we were still in the same house, I could tell that Jabu did not love me anymore. So I told him that I did not feel okay. I wanted him to go to the pharmacy to buy some medication for me, but then he just said, No, you know that you have a car. I am busy. He did not even look up at me. He just said, How about you go and buy it yourself? So I was feeling a little bit dizzy. I took the keys of the car that I was using. I was using a white Audi Q5 that he had given for me to drive for the 6 months that I had been living with him. So I drove to the mall. I went somewhere a little bit far because I just wanted to relax my mind, thinking about as well as buying a loaf of bread and some painkillers. I was in the mall, I can say maybe for about 15 minutes. That was when I walked out, and I then could not see where I had parked my car. I stopped dead. The spot where I had parked the Q5 was empty. My heart stopped, and I thought, no way, not in broad daylight, not in this mall. I thought that it had been stolen. I ran to one of the car guards, those ones that look after our cars. I said, My car, someone stole my Audi that was parked there. Then that man said to me, Oh, okay, yeah, I remember. You parked this car here, right? And I said, Yes, yes. Did you see someone who stole my car? And then that man said, Ma'am, your car was not stolen. There is a black man that came with another man. This man came after you have gone into the mall, and then they towed your car, and we thought that maybe it is the bank that is repossessing the car. They did not even speak with us. They just took the car and they left. I stood there. I was just holding my plastic bag with the loaf of bread and the pills that I had bought at Clicks. And I took out my phone and I called Chabu once, twice, 10 times. You end up looking like you are a foolish person when something like that happens, because there was a small crowd that had gathered. Every time when it rang, then it went straight to voicemail. It was not busy, Brother Nashi. He had deleted me. Then I called an Uber, and the Uber came, and I was literally rushing him, told him to hurry to the destination that I had given him. We went back to Sandton, to the complex. I thought maybe it was a mistake. Maybe he had bought another car for me, to apologize for him forcing me to have an abortion. When we got to the main gate of the estate, I waited for the guard to see my face and to just open the visitor's gate, because when you are a visitor, you use another gate, then the residents another gate. Usually, they just wave at you and then you go inside. But the guard then took his book and came to the driver and asked for the license and for the house number, and if the owner of the house had called that there is a visitor. I said, It's me, can't you see me? So I said, It is me from house number 402. I have changed the number of that house. And he said, No, sorry, I don't have anyone that has called me from 402. Can you call him so that he can tell us to open. And then I called and he did not pick up the phone, and he said, sorry, ma'am, we can't allow you inside. I told him that he was crazy. He knew me. I've been living there for 6 months and everything was inside. I tried to put my thumb on the biometric scanner by the pedestrian gate. Nothing. The red light just kept on saying that biometric blocked. So I returned back to the guard, and then the guard told me that the owner, Jabu, had said that my lease is over. He said, if you cause trouble, we must call the police. He also said he does not have any of your belongings. He said the trash was cleared out this morning. I said, Jabu is now saying that I am a tenant. Since when? I'm his girlfriend. Nashim, I did not even have a handbag. I was just holding the bread and I was holding those pills. I sat on the pavement outside the gate and I realized that I had nothing, no car, nothing. And because of the pain that I had, I just thought that let me call another Uber, and I went back to Soweto. That is when I returned back home after I had stayed in Sandton for 6 months, living the most expensive life. The weeks that followed were the loneliest time of my life. I would have a terrible headache because of the pain of knowing that this was what Jarum had done to me. This was the price that I had paid as a slave queen. I called the other girls because the infection, it returned back. So I had girls that I started to be friends with that we used to meet when we would go out for a party with Jabu, most of them that were staying with their boyfriends or their husbands or blessers in Sandton. And I would be like, hey babe, I'm going through a rough pain right now. I'm sick and I'm stuck in Soweto. Can you lend me 2,000 so that I can go to the doctor? I'll pay you back next week. Nashim, the excuses were the same. Oh, sorry, babe, I'm in Cape Town. Your things are tight for me too, girl. I'll see what I can do, followed by a blue tick and a block. I realized that then these were not my true friends. They were people that were there because we were living the same lifestyle. I actually learned my biggest lesson in life. So here I am, Brother Nashi. I am 31 years old, working at PEP, sending a stranger a voice note, and I do not even know why I have decided to send you this message, but please pass on this message to your listeners, to all the girls who are in matric or maybe you are in university. Listen to me. I know what you are thinking. You want a guy that can give you money, but no guy will ever give you money for free. Brother Nashi, if there is anyone that is still in school, stay in school. If you have a small job, maybe it is better to do your job that you are doing than to wish to become a rich person or to date a rich person, because these rich guys, they will take you and they will go with you on vacations, but when they do not want you, the things that they will do to you, it is very painful. Like what Jawu did to me. He took me to Europe once. I got a passport because of me, but when it came time that he wanted to dump me, he said that I was his tenant, yet he knew very well that I was not his tenant. I was his girlfriend, someone that he had impregnated, but he pretended as if he had never impregnated me. This is my confession, Brother Nashi. I want you to post this so that your listeners can know that this is what happened to me. I'll be following through in the comment section. Dear listeners, right, there was a message that was sent to me by one of our dear sister. Let us try to speak with our dear sister in the comment section. Strange things indeed, they do happen in this world. I'll be back with another episode.